to today's webinar, Blue Sky Basics and Beyond. Today we're going to chat about Blue Sky, the social network that's been capturing tons of attention in the last couple of months, and share some best practices that you can put into action as part of your social media strategy. If you have questions, please drop those into the questions box as we go through today, and we will answer those at the end. Before we get started, just a little bit about us. Social News Desk is the only social media management software that's purpose-built for critical communicators. We were founded in 2010, and since then we've proudly supported America's largest news companies, cities, government agencies, school districts, universities, and businesses who require powerful, always-on social media tools. Social News Desk helps organizations save time with a one-stop shop for social media publishing, take control of their entire social media footprint in a single, easy-to-use dashboard, stay informed and engaged with the community around them with social listening tools, demonstrate value to stakeholders with powerful reporting, and gain peace of mind with our always-ready human support team. And a little bit about me, I'm Sarah Loyd, the head of product success and evangelism here at Social News Desk. I've been with the team for 10 years, coming up on 11 this summer. And prior to joining S&D, I managed social media and worked in several newsrooms. And I was actually a Social News Desk customer before I joined the team. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or of course on Blue Sky. And with that, I'm also pleased today to welcome Emily Liu, who heads growth and partnerships at Blue Sky, the open social network that gives creators independence from platforms, developers the freedom to build, and users a choice in their experience. Previously, Emily built election models and visualizations at the Washington Post, archival tooling at the New York Times, and automated fact-checking at the Duke Reporters Lab. So Emily, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time today.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, of course. So Emily, take us through a little bit more about Blue Sky for folks who aren't familiar.
Awesome. So I'm going to walk everyone through a short series of slides that just give you a high-level overview of what Blue Sky is, and I'll also talk about some features and best practices that I think you should be aware of. All right, so at a very high level, what Blue Sky is doing is we're building an open social network. So this is actually a core difference between Blue Sky and the other social platforms you might be more familiar with. And the core difference here is we want to build this version of social where you as the user are actually in full control of your posts, of your profile, of your identity online, of even the algorithm that you choose to see your posts in the app. I think like a canonical example that comes to mind these days is just what's happened with Twitter, now X. Maybe you've spent 10 years there building up your personal profile, or maybe for the account for the organization you work for, and it has all of these posts. You might have like an audience of thousands to millions of followers. And if one day you decide you want to leave the platform, you really have no choice but to just walk away from that entire account that you've built there. And that's super frustrating. And it's also just hard to rebuild your audience. And this is how platforms, closed platforms like this, are able to lock users in. They know how hard it is and how time consuming it is to switch to another platform. So with Blue Sky, we're building this open social network where regardless of provider, you'll always be in control. An analogy for how this works is actually kind of like phone numbers or email addresses, which sounds a bit outdated. But what I mean by this is like, let's say for phone numbers, let's say I use AT&T as my carrier, and let's say Sarah uses Verizon. Despite having different providers, the two of us are still able to call each other and have a contact book full of our friends' phone numbers too. And if one day my provider, AT&T, stops providing signal in my area, or they start charging way too high of a cost, I don't have to stick with them. I can switch over to a different provider, but keep my same phone number, keep my contact book, so Sarah and all my other friends are still able to find me and call me, so I can still stay in touch with my friends. In this way, there's like real competition between these phone carrier providers to keep providing a great service to users because they know that you can easily switch off. It just feels like that kind of competition has not existed in social media for the last decade, really. And so that's what Blue Sky is trying to bring back. So on one hand, we're building Blue Sky, the social app that you might have on your phone already. And additionally, we're also building this open social network where our future competitors can also provide services to users because we know that this kind of competition and innovation in the long term is what really benefits users. So that's a high level overview of how Bluesky is different. Right, next slide. All right, so to give you a sense of the growth that Bluesky has been experiencing recently, so I sent the slide deck over to Sarah maybe a week or so ago, and since then it's already become out of date. We're now at nearly 29 million people on the network. Bluesky launched the app publicly in just February of last year, so it's been under 1 year, and we're already at nearly 29 million people. The first week that Bluesky launched the app, we gained like 1 million new users in Japan. And over the last year, it feels like Bluesky has been having moments in various countries around the world and picking up users along the way. For example, we had a huge like Brazilian growth spurt in last fall as well. And now we're truly a global app. Over the last couple of months, the top 3 countries that have been joining Bluesky are the United States, the UK, and Canada. But overall, Bluesky is a very global, diverse app. Our top 3 countries overall are the United States, Brazil, and Japan, which actually matches what the top 3 countries were for Twitter back in the day. So 3 very social countries that just love to post. All right, next slide. So one thing that we take super seriously on Bluesky is making it a really effective place to distribute information quickly. We want Bluesky to be a home for breaking news. We want it to be easy for people on Bluesky to find out what happened literally 3 minutes ago and discuss it right on the network. And sure, you can discuss what happened 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, but we do want to make it easy for you to find out what's happening right in the moment. So in December, when martial law was briefly declared in South Korea, people on Bluesky were discussing that an hour before people on X were talking about it. And it feels like this kind of moment of like breaking news happening and it reaching Bluesky first has just continually been happening. On Christmas Day, so under a month ago, we added a trending topics feature as well. So the screenshot is also a bit out of date, but this is a feature to make it even easier for you to find out what's happening right in that moment and join the conversation. Next slide. So with all of this breaking news, we're also prioritizing getting publishers, organizations, real genuine engagement too. As an example, some publishers have been reporting a 2 to 10 times increase in the level of engagement that they're getting on Bluesky compared to what they're getting on other social apps, including apps where they've had accounts for years, so they might have millions of followers there. For example, Dave from The Guardian in that bottom left screenshot is talking about how in The Guardian's first week on Bluesky, they gained 300,000 followers, which is already a sizable amount. But over on X, they had nearly 11 million followers because the account had just been around for many more years. And yet, even on their first week on Bluesky, the traffic that they were getting from Bluesky already exceeded that of X. Same goes for Matt's testimony from the Boston Globe that this increase in traffic is also converting to paid digital subscribers as well. And that this isn't just an English-speaking phenomenon. We're seeing this happen to Italian newspapers, as seen on the right screenshot, and other publications too. I think this is all downstream of the fact that Bluesky does not demote or throttle links in any way. We really see Bluesky as the lobby to the open social web. We want to make it easier for publishers, organizations, educators to connect their social following with their web presence. So we don't throttle links in any way. And we're really seeing that pay off in the amount of web traffic and engagement that people are getting. All right, next slide. Cool. So on the note about Bluesky not demoting or throttling links in any way, I'll talk a bit about how our algorithm works. So when you download Bluesky, every new user gets 2 tabs in the app. The first one is the following tab, and this shows you all of the posts from people you follow in chronological order. So it's very straightforward. If someone you follow makes a post, it will show up there. There's no fancy ranking going on there. The only thing it takes into consideration is 1, if you follow the account, and 2, the timestamp of the post. So it'll show all of those posts in chronological order. The second tab over is called Discover. This is Bluesky's default algorithm, so you can think of it as our version of the For You page. And the way that Discover works on Bluesky is also pretty straightforward. It consists of 3 main components. The first one is posts from people you follow. The second one is posts that people you follow like, so things right outside your network that we think you'd be interested in. And the third one is trending content from across the whole network. So this would include things such as like viral posts, breaking news, moments like that that we think you would be interested in as well. So like I mentioned earlier, we don't demote or throttle links in any way. I know that on other platforms, people have taken up this habit of being like, link in second post or link in bio. But on Bluesky, feel free to add your link to your first post. We do not demote that in any way and really encourage you to share links. Similarly, we don't uprank or downrank content just because of the post format. So whether your post contains an image or a video or a link or anything else, that doesn't affect how much your post is shown to other users. So the reason why the Discover algorithm is really so simple and straightforward is because Bluesky has actually been investing way more of our energy into building out this feature called custom feeds. So custom feeds is a feature where you can choose your own timeline. You can choose which algorithm or feed you want to use that powers your social experience. You can kind of think of this as like turning on a TV. If on other social apps, when you turn on the TV, you get a single channel, you don't know how content shows up there, but that's just the channel that you have to watch. Then on Bluesky, it's like when you turn on the TV, you have over 100,000 different channels to choose from. And if one of those channels doesn't meet what you're looking for, you can also create your own too, and others can tune into your channel too. So there's plenty of algorithmic choice here to really customize your experience and turn Bluesky into the social experience that you want it to be. As an example of some kinds of custom feeds that exist out there already, so there are over 100,000 custom feeds that are on the network now, the vast majority of which are created by people who are not affiliated with Bluesky, the company, in any way. We're seeing feeds pop up for geographic regions. So I have a screenshot down there of one for the SF Bay Area. It includes all posts that mention SF Bay Area keywords, so like Golden Gate Bridge, Alamo Square Park, things like that. We're seeing feeds pop up for topics. So one that I put a screenshot of is news, and this includes all posts from verified news organizations. So you can pin that feed and make it a place where you're more mindful of your news consumption, or you get all of your news in one place. Similarly, we've seen custom feeds pop up for specifically gift links. So links to newspapers, news sites that come with an unpaywalled link. We've seen users mention that that feed has become one of their favorites and is basically where they get their daily news now, because for one, they know it's not paywalled, and secondly, it comes with a user recommendation to read that article. And then another type of feed is like a play on an algorithmic feed. So quiet posters on the left is an example. And quiet posters shows you posts from people you follow who don't often post that much. So it's like now that your friend who doesn't really post that much has said something, you want to make sure you see what they said. So quiet posters can give you a cozier feel to the social network. So there's plenty of room to play around with custom feeds. You can think of them as like super powered lists or hashtags that can be as simple as just a list of users to as complex as a whole new For You algorithm that you implement. All right, next slide, please. Cool. So now I'm going to talk a bit about how to get verified on Bluesky. So the way to get verified on Bluesky is to set your website as your username. So in line with Bluesky's open philosophy, this is our way of also opening up the verification system too. So instead of Bluesky the company arbitrarily deciding like Sarah gets a blue check and Emily doesn't get a blue check and so on, instead we're like each organization can choose to verify their own individuals or people affiliated with them. As an example, the New York Times has set their username on Bluesky to be at nytimes.com. And then over on the right-hand side, you can see that they've begun verifying their journalists. So Eric Lipton has the username at ericlipton.nytimes.com. And that verifies his affiliation with the New York Times. Though note that Eric still has full control over his account. If he wanted to change his username at any point in time, he could do so. Just because he has nytimes.com in his username doesn't mean the company has any access to his account. It's just a username that he can choose to set or not set. So maybe you're a journalist who doesn't want to have your company in your username. Totally fine. Maybe you have a personal site or a portfolio page. You can make that your username on Bluesky too. Same goes for freelancers as well. And so Nicole, that screenshot in the middle, that's an example of someone setting their website as their username too. We've noticed we've helped senators, government officials set up their official usernames as well. US senators have taken on the practice of doing lastname.senate.gov. The fact that their username has senate.gov in it means that their account is authentic. I've also included a screenshot of Caltech in the bottom right corner at caltech.edu that verifies their account as well. All right, next slide, please. So this is just a quick slide to show you the range of global adoption that we've seen, both for Bluesky and also specifically for the websites as your username feature. We're seeing a ton of activity from international governments, political figures joining Bluesky, and they're verifying their accounts with their website as well. So for example, the European Commission is using at ec.europa.eu. Same goes for various presidents and governments. President Lula of Brazil in the bottom left corner was the first head of state to join Bluesky probably a year ago at this point, and he's using his website at lula.com.br as well. All right, next slide, please. Cool, and this is just another slide to show you local adoption, so the opposite of the last slide we just saw. Taking the city of Boston as an example. So firstly, they verified their account with that boston.gov username. Then they're onboarding all of their city agencies to Bluesky with that verified username as well. So at streets.boston.gov, for example, is one of their usernames. But I think what is most exciting and interesting about what they're doing with Bluesky is the fact that they've created a custom feed for the city of Boston too. And using this custom feed, they're able to share public notices, city information that their residents should be aware of directly on Bluesky. And so let's say you live in Boston or you want to stay updated with Boston updates, information, notices. You can pin their custom feed directly to the homepage of your Bluesky app and get all of your city notices directly on the homepage of your social app. I think this is especially exciting to me because it's this way for government agencies to reach their residents and reach their citizens without worrying that like a tech company's black box algorithm is interfering with whether or not their posts show up or not. Instead, they have full control over this algorithm. People in the city of Boston can choose to pin this custom feed and get all of their notices right there. It's also just a way for the city of Boston to take the real estate of the Bluesky app and make it a place for them to share their public notices too. So I'm very excited about this use case. All right, next slide, please. All right, so this is my last slide and also my top best practice / tip for you on Bluesky, and it would be to take advantage of starter packs. So starter packs is a feature on Bluesky that allows you to recommend a list of users and also feeds to other people, whether they have a Bluesky account already or not. So you can find starter packs on your profile. It's a tab that says starter packs right there, and you can use that to create one. As an example, publishers, including The Verge, they create starter packs for that includes their brand account as well as any journalists affiliated with them. From there, they'll share their starter pack as a post on Bluesky, and then they'll pin that starter pack to their profile. I think this is a super smart move because now anyone who visits The Verge's profile immediately sees their starter pack and can follow all of their affiliated journalists in one click. So with every starter pack, you get a preview image, a QR code, and also a short link to make it easy to share. So we've noticed that organizations will take these 3 sharing materials and post their starter pack on other social apps, in their newsletters, on their website, and in this way really create this flywheel of growth that tells their audience to come find them on Bluesky, and they're quickly able to gain a ton of followers in this way. I think because Bluesky is such a young network, our community is extremely organic and highly engaged. And I think with that, people enjoy following other people or like accounts with human faces. So if you're running an organization account, my top tip would be to be as like human and organic and genuine as you can be if you want to build your audience there. To drive followers back to your brand account, we've noticed that individuals will create their own starter packs. So let's say like a Verge reporter wants to make a starter pack for the tech beat that they cover, maybe AI. Then they could include the Verge's account in there, include any fellow journalists, as well as any subject matter experts that they'd like to recommend to other people on Bluesky too. So starter packs are just a great way to really grow your audience there. All right, one more slide after this, I think. Okay, so this is just a closing slide. There's an email down at the bottom there. If you have questions, happy to answer them at the end of this webinar, but there's also a partnerships email here that you should feel free to reach out to at any time. All right, turning it back over to you now, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. And I will second the starter packs concept. I love that so much. I know when I first jumped onto Bluesky, it made it really easy to just start following folks I was interested in. I live in San Antonio. I'm a big San Antonio Spurs fan, so I could find everyone talking about the San Antonio Spurs with one click and get them all into my timeline, which was great. So I really, really love that feature. It's a really easy way to, build who you're following, but also if you end up in a starter pack, your following will grow as well. And I've ended up in a couple and my following has gone up a lot. So, if you know of someone who's started a starter pack, you can always ask to be included with that as well. All right, so let's jump into some additional Bluesky best practices. And of course, keep in mind, we're going to have some time for Q&A at the end of today's webinar. I see we already have quite a few questions in the questions box, so we'll definitely get to those at the end and get through as many of those as we have time for. But first off, we want you to make a great first impression. You should ensure your profile is clear, complete, and visually appealing. Add your logo, a concise bio, and you can also add links to your website or other social platforms. The Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District has a great page. They establish kind of the tone of their post with their bio. It's really relaxed and conversational. It also includes a phone number where residential customers can get help, and of course their website's social media page to encourage followers to find them on other platforms as well. And you'll also notice, of course, that their username is at neorsd.org, which matches their website, which shows, of course, that they have an official account that they have verified. And as Emily mentioned, verifying yourself on Bluesky is easy. You may need some help from your IT team. I would definitely search how to verify your Bluesky account on the Bluesky blog. It has a lot of very specific steps that you can follow. And as Emily mentioned, if you have multiple affiliated accounts with your organization using those kind of subdomain style usernames at name.newsroom.com, for instance, makes it really easy to make sure everyone affiliated with your organization is verified as well with their own personal handle. Like with other social networks, we want to create shareable content for Bluesky. You can craft posts that are concise, thought-provoking, or humorous to encourage reposting and sharing within the Bluesky ecosystem. And as Emily mentioned, Bluesky users really value genuine human-centered posts. So we want to share authentic updates, stories, and even behind the scenes insights, again, in a really conversational tone. We'd also encourage you to post regularly. Maintaining a consistent posting schedule helps to build visibility and trust with your audience. Frequency matters, but so does quality. And if you're posting regularly to your other social platforms, S&D makes it easy to add Bluesky to your posting cadence as well. You can also use S&D's autopilot tool to ensure that you're posting links regularly and supplement with those manually scheduled posts throughout the day. Also, diversify your content formats. Mix up your posts with articles, opinion pieces, short updates, events, or curated news to keep your audience engaged and curious. And of course, be sure to include videos, images, and links in your content mix. As with other social networks, using rich media such as images, videos, or GIFs helps your post stand out in the field. If you might keep in mind, again, there's not an algorithm to prevent users from seeing your posts based on the content format. So our goal here is to stop the scroll and get people looking at your content. Unlike other social networks, as Emily mentioned, Bluesky encourages sharing direct links on the platform. And of course, there's no algorithm to penalize certain types of content. And as Emily also mentioned, many publishers are seeing really great traffic from Bluesky links. So we really encourage you to share that link content out that maybe isn't performing as well on some of your other social platforms. Take the time to engage directly with folks who respond to you. You can reply to comments, repost user content, and start conversations to build a loyal community around your brand. While hashtags aren't as central as on some platforms, using relevant hashtags thoughtfully can help your content reach the right audience. This post from a San Antonio Spurs podcaster uses several popular hashtags in the Spurs community to help surface content in those conversations. You can also partner with influencers or prominent Bluesky users to help expand your reach and credibility on the platform, just like the US Consumer Product Safety Commission did on this post. As Emily mentioned, you might consider creating or promoting custom Bluesky feeds that are tailored to your audience's interests, such as specific topics or curated collections of posts. The city of Boston, as she mentioned, has created that custom feed with all of the city's official Bluesky accounts gathered into one easy to follow feed. And those followed feeds appear at the top of a Bluesky user's timeline, which makes it really easy for users to find content from a particular feed. Encourage user interaction by asking open-ended questions and host discussions to foster community engagement and feedback. This post from Nature asked their community of scientists to share their experience on switching to Bluesky from other social networks. You can also leverage Bluesky's decentralized nature to focus on niche topics and foster tight-knit communities around specific themes or interests. This could be a sports team, as we see here, a news topic, a city department's activities, or really just about any topic you can think of. If available, track engagement metrics to understand what resonates with your audience and refine your strategy. Social News Desk can help you gather engagement metrics for your Bluesky content in our Post Manager tool, making it easy to see what's working well with your audience. In addition to analytics, our social media management solution also includes publishing, scheduling, and automation for Bluesky, making it easy to integrate publishing to Bluesky alongside the other social networks that you work with. And this feature was actually fast-tracked due to overwhelming feedback from our Social News Desk users. All right, so now let's take some time for some Q&A. All right, let's see. All right, so this is a question, Emily, on verification. What prevents someone from making my username something like at something.whitehouse.gov if they don't work there or have any affiliation to it?
Yeah. So if you don't work at the White House, then you also don't have access to the whitehouse.gov website. And so because of that, you just would not be able to set that as your username from a technical standpoint. So if you don't have access to that website's management, you wouldn't be able to make that your username. This is also how we're able to verify that accounts that end in .gov, for example, truly are government accounts, because only the real government agency would be able to access the website management tools for that domain.
Yeah, it's a really great system for verification, I think. All right, Emily, can you share some information about content moderation and AI bots on Bluesky?
Sure. So I can describe at a high level what our approach to moderation is. So we take a twofold approach to moderation. The first part is likely the approach that you're pretty familiar with, which is we provide a 24/7 moderation team that provides a strong foundation of moderation across the whole network. So no spam, scam, hate speech, abuse, that kind of thing. Our moderators review reports 24/7 around the clock coverage. But on top of that, we realized that it's pretty impossible for one single company to get moderation right for every single culture and community in the whole world. So in line with our open philosophy, something we've done for moderation is also open it up. So we have this stackable system of moderation where on top of Bluesky's foundation of moderation, you can subscribe to additional moderation decisions from organizations that you trust. So let's take an example of AI art. Maybe you have super strong feelings about AI art, as in you don't want to see any of it. But Bluesky, the company, does not have a stance on AI art, as in we don't take down content just because it's AI generated. But some artists on Bluesky's network have created a moderation service where you can subscribe to it as simple as following an account. And after you do that, all AI art will be filtered out of your experience of Bluesky. So on top of Bluesky's moderation, you can stack on all of these additional services too.
All right, that's great. I had a question from a university. It says, we are a college at a university. Our username is the same one we use across social platforms, not our website, which isn't descriptive. And I think their website might just be like the initials of the university. Can our faculty be verified if they incorporate our username?
So your faculty can still be verified with your website, even if you don't choose to set your website as your username. I think even if your website even if the domain name isn't that descriptive, I'd actually still recommend setting it as your website. So firstly, after, let's say your username right now, just taking like an extremely boilerplate default one is just like school.bsky.social, and you want to update it to school.edu. After you update your username to school.edu, your original username of school.bsky.social will automatically be reserved and tied to your account so no one else can claim it either, to also prevent impersonators. And then one forward-looking feature that we'd like to roll out this year is an ability for your Bluesky followers to click into your website directly from your profile. So if your username is school.edu, then they'd be able to click into your username and get redirected to your website. So that's just to say that even if your domain name isn't that descriptive, once we have this feature that allows you to click right into your website, I think it would be super useful for your followers, because then they know immediately what school and what website you're redirecting them to. You can kind of think of like the website as a username feature, like in the same way that people use Linktree now, or when people say like link in bio, being able to set your website as your username on Bluesky is kind of like, instead of saying, here's my Linktree in bio, it's just like, my link is my username. So it just further closes that gap between your social following and your web presence.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of questions kind of about verification. So I popped this slide back up. I would definitely encourage you guys to check out that how to verify your Bluesky account post on the Bluesky blog. It has everything in great detail. Obviously, we're happy to continue answering questions, but I'm seeing a lot of very similar questions. All right, so I do have a couple of questions about referral traffic. This one says, our analytics team noticed that Parsley captures traffic only within the Bluesky app, and S&D doesn't provide as many Bluesky KPIs as it does for other platforms. Are there plans to enhance these capabilities in the near future? So yes, there are plans to continue to enhance the offering that we have within Social News Desk for Bluesky. It's kind of dependent on the API access that we have. So once more metrics are available in the API, we'll definitely be including those in Post Manager and other reporting products that we have.
And then
All
just
right.
to quickly add on to that, the reason why Bluesky doesn't natively have like lead click traffic right now in the app is otherwise it would cause, like, whenever you copy the URL of a post, it would have like a very long referral at the end of that URL. So we have it on the roadmap to make this a better service, a more privacy preserving service as well. But in the meantime, you can also directly add a UTM query at the end of any links that you post on Bluesky and be able to see that link click traffic too.
All right, that's great. This question, when might profiles have the ability to delete comments rather than muting them in cases of misinformation, abuse, or general trolling? Some platforms have the delete option for such comments, and that would be very helpful.
Yeah, one feature that you might want to try is hiding replies on Bluesky. So you can hide replies for just yourself or hide replies for everyone. And in this way, other people won't be able to see that comment on your thread either.
All right. And then this question, what is the plan for other Bluesky platforms? Will you guys be unveiling products for the iPad or even something like TweetDeck for Twitter, something similar to that?
Yeah. I'll say an iPad app is not currently on the short-term roadmap, though we often get requests for that, so we're thinking about it. In terms of a TweetDeck for Bluesky, so back in the day when TweetDeck first started for Twitter, it was actually an independent app built by independent developers. Similarly, there are a couple independent tools out there already for a TweetDeck-like experience of Bluesky. One that comes to mind is called deck.blue. So its URL is just deck.blue. And you can use that to get a TweetDeck-like experience of Bluesky.
All right. This question asks, are branded or sponsored posts allowed, and how should those be posted? Are there plans for allowing businesses to monetize the platform?
Yeah, we don't currently have any plans or policies for the way that you create your own sponsored posts. We haven't seen too much of that happen on the app yet. Bluesky does not have any short-term plans to integrate our own ads, possibly in the future, but nothing planned for right now. But when we do have monetization plans, for example, subscriptions are coming up, we are thinking about ways to pass back revenue to creators too and organizations that are posting on Bluesky, but nothing concrete on that front that I can share yet.
All right. In terms of users, can you tell, are people using Bluesky for information gathering, entertainment, all of the above?
Yeah, it was easier for us to answer this question like 6 months ago when the network was smaller, but because the network has gotten so large in the last couple of months, it really feels like every possible use case of Bluesky exists on the network right now. We see a ton of journalists, publishers on Bluesky talking to sources, getting breaking news, sharing their own breaking news as well. We also see academics, researchers sharing research, talking about conferences that they're going to. We've seen custom feeds pop up for specifically conferences, starter packs as well. And so people in person at these conferences are very easily able to find that Bluesky pocket of conversation as well. Lots of sports chatter as well. And then, yeah, I would say like pop culture is also on the rise on Bluesky. So this
Yeah, I
doesn't
know.
quite answer your question, but I guess all of the above.
Yeah, I would say anecdotally from what I've seen, and obviously my feed is going to be unique. Everyone's feed is not going to be the same, but I use it a lot for following what's happening during a sporting event, namely the San Antonio Spurs. Go Spurs, go! Also showing off food that I've cooked. I follow some comic book authors, local news organizations because I really like keeping on top of what's happening, locally to me. That's really important to me. So that's what I use it for, and everyone's going to have their own unique mix. All right. How do we find those developers building extensions for Bluesky? Is there a directory, or do you have tips for finding them?
Um, if you're a developer, there's an active developer Discord. You can find a link to it at the bottom of our developer documentation site, which is just docs.bsky.app. Similarly, on that documentation site, there's a tab for projects that people are working on. But maybe the easiest way to find projects that people are working on is to follow our developer account on Bluesky. And so the username for that account is just @proto.com. @proto is the name of the open standard that Bluesky is built upon. So @proto.com is where you can find developer updates, and we share new developer projects there.
All right, great. Should we be sharing vertical or horizontal videos to Bluesky, or does it matter?
Yeah, we don't have any concrete advice on that front yet. As of, was it Monday? Like maybe it was Monday of this week, maybe it was Sunday. Very recently, we launched a feature where there are video specific custom feeds. And for those custom feeds, they're prioritizing vertical video. That was launched in response to everything that's been happening with TikTok lately. So if you're looking to get your video included in those feeds, I'd recommend vertical, but overall, no strong recommendation either way. I will note that overall, about 75% of Bluesky users use it on mobile and 25% use it on desktop. So that's the split. Though it seems like the people who are using Bluesky on desktop are probably people that are on this call, journalists, educators, people who always have that Bluesky tab open and are like very online. So that's the general split.
Yeah, definitely guilty of that. And, generally speaking, I would say as you're scrolling through the feed, that vertical video is going to take up more real estate on the screen. So if you're looking to stop the scroll, using that vertical video is probably going to be a benefit to you. In the US, are there geographic areas with high downloads of Bluesky?
I don't have this information off the top of my head. We don't collect that much user data in general, so we're not often looking at like geographic regions. So nothing to share on that front.
Okay, great. We had a question. Oh, was that developer site? It was at atproto.com, Proto. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay,
I don't have access to the
atproto.
full. Yeah, I don't have access to the full chat on this webinar, but if I'm able to, I can also just send that directly into the chat. But
Okay,
it's
yeah, I should be able to pull a list of questions, so we may be able to get back to you guys with some more answers. Did we miss the sizing for photos? No, I don't think we talked about that. I don't think there's a specific size recommendation for photos either.
yeah, yeah.
All right. What should we do if we already opened an account but did not do so with our website as our username?
You can simply update your username to be your website, and then your current username will be automatically reserved to your account, so you can revert back to it at any time, and no one else can sign up for that account.
All right. I'm looking for any new questions. I think we may have hit everybody's question, or at least all the themes of the questions that I'm seeing. So if we did not get to your question specifically, I apologize. Please feel free to, you can email me at sloyd, SLOYD, at socialnewsdesk.com. If you want more information about Social News Desk in general, you can go to socialnewsdesk.com/demo, or you can email us at info@socialnewsdesk.com. And of course, be sure to follow us on Bluesky. We are social news at socialnewsdesk.com on Bluesky also. All right. And I did see one more question. Can we revert to our old username once verified? And I think the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then final question, which I think is for me. Will the recording be sent out for those who may have missed it? Yes. Everyone who has signed up for the webinar, I know people are not always able to make it live, but we will have the recording that we'll be sending out after the fact, and we'll have it on our S&D blog as well. All right, Emily, thank you so much. I know this was a big help for a lot of folks, and we really appreciate your time today. And thank you guys again for your time and attention. We look forward to seeing you again next time.
Thanks so much, everyone.